Hi everybody, welcome to my how-to video. Today I'm going to show you the magic that is honeycomb, probably one of my favourite things. It's really simple, really versatile, and it doesn't actually take that long. I'm going to run through the list of ingredients, what you're going to need for it, and I will talk a little bit about what you can use it for, because you can make a slab of it, you can smash it up, you can crush it up, you can put it around a cake. And what I'm also going to show you is how to shape it. I mean, you can just crush it up and cover it in chocolate, but I've made these using a silicone mould. So if you wanted to make little snacks or party treats, or maybe for Christmas gifts, or just for crying into your gin with, you can use those as well, and it's absolutely fantastic. So let's start with the ingredients. I've got a heavy base saucepan. It's a large one as well, I'll explain why later. In there I've got 90 grams of golden syrup and 200 grams of caster sugar. You can use honey, you can also use granulated sugar. I'm just using caster because it will melt a lot quicker. I'm going to put that over a medium heat, a medium to low heat. I don't want that to go too quickly, that's going to heat up really quickly because of the golden syrup. In here I've got bicarbonate of soda, and that's where the magic happens. I'm going to use 2 teaspoons of bicarbonate of soda. Come over here quickly. If you're going to do a slab of it, I've got a silicone mat here. These are absolutely brilliant. I mean, you can put these in the oven, you can bake cookies on these, you can do so much with them. I'm going to use this today. I would use this, sorry, if I was going to make a slab of it, but I'm going to show you the method using the silicone mould. If you haven't got one of these, you don't have to go and buy one, it's not necessary, but I had one for, I think, mini muffins, I don't know. I've also got a palette knife as well. Again, this is a particular palette knife. You don't have to use this one, you can use a standard one. I've got a little one here as well, you could use something like that. And I've also got a rubber spatula for getting it out of the pan. Come back over to the stove. What I'm going to do is, you can see already, if you look in the bottom, that's bubbling. I'm just going to use a whisk. You can use a wooden spoon or a spatula just to stir that sugar into the golden syrup. I shouldn't really stir it whilst it's on the heat, but it doesn't really work that well if you stir it off of the heat. What I'm aiming to do is just get everything mixed together, everything melted together. I'm going to turn the heat right down, really low, and just let that go for a little bit until it turns, I suppose, a maple syrup colour. So there, you can see in the bottom, most of the sugar has been absorbed into the golden syrup and into my whisk as well, which isn't helpful. I'm just going to let that melt in there. And I think you'll probably find once it's all in, you're looking at about 3 minutes before it gets to the colour that you want. It goes really quickly. Caramel making is a really slow process, you shouldn't really rush it, but because of the golden syrup, this does take slightly less time. You can use a pastry brush dipped in water to clean the edges. I'm not going to bother because I don't think it really makes a difference. Okay, so it's been about 5 to 7 minutes. Come on in and have a look at the colour. So you can see that the sugar has all dissolved. It's still on a really low heat, or it has been on a really low heat. And once the sugar dissolved and it cooked, I turned it up just 1 notch on the stove. I mean, if you've got gas, just play it by eye. And that's what we're going to do with the colour here. There's no real timing here. It's I suppose depends on your stove. You're going to want it that sort of golden dark amber colour, probably more like a really good maple syrup. But I'm just going to let that cook out just for a couple of seconds more. I'm just going to come back over and just show you this. So this is the bicarbonate of soda. This is what makes the magic happen. You usually put it in cakes to make them rise, and you'll see as soon as I put it in, you'll see what happens. Just have a quick look over here again. I told you I'm going to use this silicone mould. If we were going to do a slab of it, I would put it straight on here on this silicone mat. If you haven't got one of these, don't panic. You can use baking parchment, but I would probably put it directly onto a baking sheet. Don't put it onto your work surface unless you have something like marble or granite, because I don't want you to damage your work surface. So you come over here, we're ready. You see that colour? Just get out of the way so you can see it. That golden amber colour, and I've got bubbles on there. Heat off, take it off the heat. We're going to go straight in with 2 teaspoons of bicarbonate of soda, straight into the sugar and golden syrup. Take your whisk, wooden spoon, or spatula and stir it, and you can see immediately what happens. I'm going to work really quickly. That's all gone in. Come around here. Take your spatula, pour it straight onto the mould. A little bit messy, don't worry about that. Nobody's perfect. I meant to say, with your palette knife, I would just grease it quickly. This is going to waste quite a lot, but that's just the shape of the mould I've got. There we go. What I will also say is, I know they insist that you cook with children in the kitchen because it's great for them to learn, but this is probably not the time to do it because that is scaldingly hot. Leave that. You can see it looks a little bit messy at the moment, but where I've scraped the top of it, it's just going to leave little shards around the edge. We can take those off. Leave that for a good 5 minutes on there. I'm going to then move it over to the cooling rack and let that cool for a little bit longer. I'd say you probably need at least 30 minutes at room temperature to let these cool completely. Keep them dry. Don't let any water go near them because water and sugar, well, they do mix, they just turn into syrup, and that's not what you want. So keep these dry, cool, but do not refrigerate them. That's really hot. Ow. Okay. Spare bits are the best, but not for now. Okay. What I've done, I let that cool probably for about 10 or 15 minutes. It's still warm. You can feel it underneath, and they're still too soft. But what you can do with the silicone mould, we'll get rid of that spare bit there. Just turn it out now because I want it to cool quite quickly. Just turn it upside down. Give each one a little push, like playing a rubber piano. Tease them out. You can see, like I said, you're going to get this around the edge. Don't worry about that. That can come out. Perfect. Okay. These little stray bits around the edge, we can pick those off. I'm going to do that later, but I just wanted to show you as they come out. They will sink slightly because I've used the mould. If you pour it straight onto the mat or baking parchment, it will bubble up and look huge. It will settle slightly, but don't worry too much about that. Okay, chocolate, very, very important, probably the most important part. These are going to be covered in chocolate. Milk chocolate today because I'm quite prone to rural children and we're not grown up enough to use dark chocolate. There was about 300 grams in here. It's depleted slightly. I don't know why. I can't explain that. Come on over and have a look at these very quickly though. So these are the ones that come out of the mould. I've started to tidy up the edges on them. You can do it a little bit more. I will take some more of that off just to neaten them up. But in my haste, I did squish 2 of them, but that doesn't matter because that's going to hold a little bit more chocolate. So those are 2 that are going to be mine. Chocolate in a bowl. You can do this in a microwave. I'm not really good at microwaving chocolate. I tend to burn it or it doesn't do it enough. But I'm going to put this over a pan of simmering water. And by simmering, I mean that. Take a look in the bottom. Just a couple of bubbles. In fact, that's probably even a little bit too much. I'm going to turn it down one more. I just want hot water just to gently and very slowly melt that chocolate in there. I'm not going to go into the intricacies of tempering chocolate because it's Sunday afternoon and it's a little bit too much for my brain to take. I'm going to leave that for a couple of minutes. Just stir it constantly. Don't let it get too hot because it will seize up. And then come back in a couple of minutes and we shall start dipping, which is my favourite part. Right, what I'm doing at the moment is I'm just tidying up the edges. You can see, obviously, where it formed in the mould, it's got these lovely little wings, which look very pretty, but they're not very helpful. We're going to dip it in chocolate. What you can do is just snap the edges off if you want to. Be as messy as you like, it doesn't really matter. They're yours, not mine. But what I'm going to do is just take a knife. It's just a blunt knife. Don't use anything sharp, because if you're anything like me, you'll take your knuckles off. Just scrape away the edges. Sorry, just excuse the washing machine in the background. Life still has to carry on, I'm afraid. It's Sunday, which means laundry day. So tie them up as much as you want to. I'm not going to go any further than that because they're only for safety. Okay, the little honeycombs are ready. We've melted the chocolate. Look at that. I want to get in and have a bath. I've turned the heat off, but I'm going to leave it over the warm water just so it doesn't seize up whilst we're in the process of doing this. And you can see I've already done one here. Say hey, little fella. I've dunked him in and I've just turned him over so, oh, excuse me, that'll be the oven going off. I can make sure there's still no lumps of chocolate in there. Okay, take one of your little friends, dunk him in, and cover him. Dunk and turn. Dunk and turn. You can use 2 forks. Dunk and turn, who's that? Use 2 forks if you want to, or spoons, or your hands if you've got asbestos. Just turn them over, make sure everything's covered in chocolate, then just rest them on your silicone mat or your baking parchment. And to show you one more, straight in, cover in chocolate, give it a little turn. There you go, just shake off the excess and straight onto the mat. What I'm going to do, come on, I've got all day, I've got laundry to do. Just take your fork, if you really want to be fancy, just drag your fork across the top. Okay, or you can cover them in white chocolate. You can put some nuts on, put a smiley face on, do what you like. Okay, that's it, it's done. I came off relatively unscathed, apart from a little bit there. Don't worry about that. These are the finished product. There's my one there. Do you remember the one with the little tip in the top? That's got a little bit more chocolate, so. Very good. Anyway, enough of that. Like I said, they can be served as party snacks, excuse me. They can be served as party snacks, they can be served at birthday parties. You can eat them all yourself, I don't mind. I've gone that one step further, because you know me. And I've put mine in a little gift bag. I've got these for a friend tonight. Thank you very much for watching. If there is anything else you want to see, any other suggestions, drop me a message and I'll try to do my best. Thanks very much.